especially since you were so adamant everything you've done. You know, I'm almost 65. That's going to be my excuse for you.
That's what that is now. That's what that.
Good morning. Welcome to Shawnee Mission Unitarian Universalist Church. Whoever you are, whomever you love, wherever you are on your life's journey, you are welcome here. We are so happy that you've chosen this sanctuary in time, this Sabbath, this YouTube channel. We know that you have so many options on Sunday morning, and that you have chosen to be here with us is something that we celebrate. We extend an especially warm welcome to all of our visitors and anyone who may be watching our service online. Please say hi in the chat, and now we invite everyone to rise and greet each other. I have just a few announcements today. As you may know, we are still in the process of completing our annual stewardship campaign. You will be receiving a letter from myself and the new board president, Marjorie Rice, this week, inviting you to consider giving to the church. The money that we pool together is all used for the purpose of serving the community. We believe in this so much that we send an entire plate right out the door every single month to a local organization that we support. Today, in honor of Pride Month, our Donate the Plate will go to Outside Voices KC Choir. Their director, Joe Nadeau, which I said correctly, is here to tell us a little bit about their group. Yes, here.
Good morning. Great to see you today. My name is Joe Nadeau, and I am the artistic director for our organization Outside Voices KC. We're actually part of a larger organization called Fountain City Performing Arts, which also includes some youth programs as well. Outside Voices KC has been around for 2 years now. This is our second year and our second Pride season. We're a part of a larger organization of choruses called Gala Choruses, which is the LGBTQ plus international organization of choruses. And there are some other choruses in town also part of that group. The Heartland Men's Chorus, Kansas City Women's Chorus, and Choral Spectrum are all part of the Gala Chorus Network. Outside Voices believes in creating artistry through aspiration and activism towards social justice. And whenever we sing, we like people to sing with us. And so later on, I'll be inviting you to sing and join us. And so thank you for having us today and celebrating Pride together. Thank you.
Maya Angelou said, "I've learned that people will forget what you said. People will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel." Come, let us feel empowered to be proud of ourselves together. Let us live past our fear and come into a space of growth and liberation. Please rise as you're willing and able for hymn number 170 in the gray hymnal, or it's projected, "We Are a Gentle, Angry People."
We are a gentle, angry people.
As Naya Lisa Cuevas comes forward to light our chalice, we invite you to join us as we recite our covenant. Let us affirm that love is the doctrine of this church, the quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer, to dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve humanity in fellowship, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the divine. Thus do we covenant with one another. Today we gather to lift up the wisdom and the lessons that come to us from the idea that love is bigger than any of us have ever known. That we have within us a capacity to love more deeply, more bravely, and more tenderly than we have been. And that actually we are being held captive by small and rigid beliefs about how we are allowed to love. For example, are little boys allowed to love pink? Are girls allowed to love sports and being rough? These are questions along the lines of gender and sexuality, but this question about love is about so much. Love, or the inability to love, is something that touches every human life, every society, and every family. I mean, really, are we allowed to love ourselves as we truly and authentically are? Are you allowed to still love yourself after you've done something regrettable, for example, in an addiction? Are you allowed to love your body even though it's disabled? Are you allowed to contact the black sheep of your family? Are you allowed to treat your co-parent with dignity and respect, even though everyone tells you you could be mean? Kids, are you allowed to express yourself and be yourself, even after someone makes fun of you? Of course, the answer is yes. Yes, we are allowed to love more bravely, more deeply, and more tenderly, even when we are afraid to do so. Even when we are afraid that perhaps this action will make us unlovable, or that we are not, after all, part of the who and what gets to be loved or liked. This is what Pride Month is all about. This is the great lesson that the LGBTQ+ community teaches the world, that being proud of who you are in all your multitudes is a gift to the world, that loving yourself as you are is a very powerful act, and loving others as they are takes bravery and tenderness and a love that is deeper than any of us could have ever known. Refusing to believe that we should hate, not hiding ourselves. This is how we move through the hate. For hiding who we are will serve no purpose. We must know that there are people and places that seek the beauty that we have within us. That, for example, kids, if you see someone at school who's being made fun of, you could go and be the one to make friends. Here's an idea for you in the monthly theme of renewal, that perhaps if there's something, a part of ourselves that we feel we shouldn't love, and I know we all have those parts, that is precisely where we should practice being proud. Proud for what we've been through, proud for what we've overcome, proud for what we've learned, and just proud of who we are. And from within our own hesitation, fear, shame, and regret, to hold our heads high, speaking even though our voices shake, For if we do this, I know we will find a power in a transformation, a sense of aliveness and renewal in a world that so badly needs our deeper love, braver love, and more tender love. And now I would like to invite all the children to come forward. We have two special guests with us today. Hi, Sammy. Hi, Andre. What's your name? Oh, you have a beautiful polka dot dress on.
I love your dress so much.
What's your name? Rose?
Rose.
That's my name. Oh, hi.
like a
Vivian,
garden of roses.
Cole. Hi, everybody. How are you? Well, we have a very special guest today, too. First, we have Miss Hazel Krebs here.
Hello, everybody.
She's our guest speaker. And we also have Eggie. Oh. Hello.
Isn't Eggie so beautiful?
Me? Beautiful?
The most beautiful ostrich I've ever seen.
Oh, my.
Your eyelashes are so luscious,
Even my right eyelash?
especially your right eyelash.
Oh, I'm so ashamed of my right eyelash. Can you see it? It's squished. Can you see it? It's squished. And I don't have any arms, so I can't fix it. Could you?
But I think it's beautiful how it is.
Well, thank you. Do you want to know why it's squished?
I would love to know why.
I guess I'll tell you. Well, I had my head in the sand.
See, I knew ostriches did that, but why did you have your head in the sand?
I didn't want to be seen, you know? I just wanted to hide a little. But do you want to know the worst part about putting your head in the sand?
Yes, I would.
Well, I thought no one could see me when really everyone could see my bottom. It's just terrible. It's just terrible. It gets worse and worse. Yeah, now I've said it.
Yeah, well, I think you should hold your head up high, don't you, kids? Yes. Even with the eyelash, I think you're beautiful and you deserve to be seen by everybody.
Well, I do, sitting next to you, feel a little bit more beautiful.
Oh, and what about all the kids? Don't they look great?
Oh, boy. You all could use some fake eyelashes, but other than that, you look good. You look good.
As long as you don't stick your head in the sand.
Yeah, or maybe some sparkles, because Miss Hazel here, boy, she's
Yeah.
sparkly.
I love sparkles. Anyone else like sparkles?
Yeah. Have you ever worn sparkles on your eyes? Really?
How does it make you feel?
Sparkly.
I love it. Yes, it makes me feel so happy when I have sparkles because it makes other people smile, and I love making other people smile.
Have you always been this beautiful?
I have not. So I didn't hide my head in the sand, but for many years I was hiding out in my room.
Oh, no. It must mean you have your own room. That's nice.
I did. Did you have your own sand pile?
Yeah. Yes, I did. Mhm.
But I just didn't want to be seen. I was afraid of how people saw me, and they weren't seeing me for who I was.
Oh, it sounds like you were afraid.
I was very afraid. Have you been afraid to show up, maybe with sparkles in your eyes or on a dress? No? Good.
Maybe.
You've learned a lesson much faster than me.
Were you always afraid?
I was always afraid up until a point when I finally discovered who I was.
Tell me more about that.
Well, a few years ago, I found my name Hazel. I hadn't always gone by Hazel.
Oh, really?
Really?
What was your name before?
So that's a name I don't like to talk about because it's not who I am. Who I am is Hazel.
Oh, how did you, who's Hazel? How'd you find the name Hazel?
Well, I found it just looking through a book and it spoke to me.
Wow.
Do you think I look like a Hazel?
I think so.
You know what's funny is my eyes aren't hazel, but my name's Hazel.
Oh.
Does anyone else have hazel eyes? We have at least one.
Wow. And now, you're Hazel.
Now I'm Hazel, and I'm so happy to be here with you, and I'm so glad I got to meet you, Eggie.
Well, do you know I also have a different name?
I didn't.
I have a proper name.
Really? What's that?
Humbert.
Humbert? I love the name Humbert. I also love the name Eggie.
Yeah. Eggie's nice.
Eggie's nice. Did you find Eggie?
No, I had an egg, and then they started calling me Eggie.
That makes sense to me.
Yeah, Yeah, I can say Humbert, though, because it's just my first name.
You're okay being seen as Humbert and Eggie?
Yeah.
That makes
And
sense.
now, do you feel proud of how you look?
I love how I look, and I love that I get to be myself in front of everybody.
I wonder if any of these little kids have special clothes they like to wear. Let's see, that's a nice dress that little Rosie has on.
Yes, you're so pretty. Did anyone wear a special outfit for today?
I
You
noticed
did?
Andre's shirt has a dinosaur on it.
I love it.
Anybody else have something special on they're wearing?
Or maybe another day that you wear?
Andre, yeah. Ooh, those shorts are
I
beautiful.
love it. It's a great time to be wearing shorts.
And Sammy?
You have a necklace.
Oh,
Looks like a rainbow necklace. I love it.
it looks delicious.
Eggie, stop.
May I have a little bite? Anybody else have something they're proud of that they're wearing? Your dress? Oh, it's beautiful. Also flowers.
And you have a couple scrunchies on.
Hazel, I'm glad you're here.
I'm so glad to be here, and I'm so glad to meet you, Eggie.
It makes me happy just to look at you.
Aw, it makes me happy to look at you, eyelashes and all.
Aw. Thanks, Hazel.
Thanks, Eggie.
Well, today is a, excuse me, I had my head in the sand and got some sand in. I just got out, okay? I'm here for the first time. Well, today is a whole church service, so you can stay and go back to your seats and sit with your parents.
Thank you for coming up, kids.
Nothing can be changed by changing the face, but everything can be changed by facing the change. Jane Austen.
I sing out loud so the world can listen. I sing for change. I sing out proud because I'm the future. I'll be the change. See my truth reflecting onto you. Who I am forever through and through.
Change will not come if we wait for some other person or if we wait for some other time. We are the ones we've been waiting for. We are the change we seek. Barack Obama.
We come to this place to see and be seen, to teach and be taught, to hear and be heard. I invite you to reach over and nudge the person sitting next to you, reminding them that we are here together, gathered in peace and authenticity and intention. We also come to this place to share our joys and sorrows. If you have a rare joy or a profound sorrow, I invite you to come forward, and because we don't have the kids' water, kids are invited to come forward, but I will be lighting the candle.
I'm Shannon Jonitz, and this is a candle of concern for fellow workmates. We were told that we were safe from layoffs, and they laid off a whole bunch of North American project managers. So hopefully there's some project management out there for some of my friends. We've been hit for the last 6 months. This is the third department, and I've lost a lot of friends in the workplace. So.
Yes, I'm lighting a candle of sorrow for my wife's family. My mother-in-law passed away this last week, and there's always funny things around mother-in-laws, but she was pretty cool. I liked her, and we got along pretty well.
Hello, I'm Bernie Norcott Mahaney, and this week Carla and I lost a cat that had been with us for 18 years. It died at the age of 20, General Zod. So this is for the General.
Are there any kiddos who has something they want to share? Come on up here. You want to come up? Any kiddos? Anything about your pets? Anybody have a birthday? Would you like to speak?
And you know, does John have a birthday?
Anybody have a birthday? Rose?
They say happy birthday, Rose.
Happy birthday, Rose.
Happy birthday, Nikki. Happy birthday, Nikki.
Happy birthday, Nikki.
I light all the remaining candles for the joys and sorrows that remain unspoken in the silent sanctuaries of our hearts. One last time, I'd like all the children to come forward. We are going to meditate, but we're going to meditate together. So I'd like kids to come forward and sit with me up here. And I'm going to show you how to do it. All right. Adults, and by that I mean older children, I invite you to follow. All right, I'll sit down here with you so you can see. All right, I'm going to cross my legs and let my legs go open. And then I'm going to sit up nice and tall. Okay, that's great. You all did it great. Sit up nice and you can imagine there's like a string pulling you so you're really, really tall. And then I'm going to have everybody close their eyes. I can see you if your eyes are open. Close them. Let's close our eyes. And then we're all going to breathe in together. And then make a silly noise. Okay, let's do that again. Breathe in. Blah. One last time. Breathe in. Okay, now we're going to breathe in and let out a silent breath. And again. And then you're going to take your hand and put it over your heart, right where your heart is. And you're going to think of somebody that you love so much. And you're going to smile. And you're going to think a nice thought about them. Maybe something you wish for them. And then you're going to think of yourself and smile and think a nice thought about yourself. Something that you wish for yourself. And take a deep breath in and a quiet breath out. And then smile and you can open your eyes. We did it. Now you can go back and sit with your families and we're going to sing. And if you want to keep doing that, you can still sit quietly with your eyes closed during the song.
This song is a variation of the Buddhist metta prayer by Mark David Buckles. We will begin with a practice of compassion towards ourselves and then gradually extend that compassion outwards to the entire world. If we could extend compassion to ourselves, then we can extend compassion to the people that we know, and then maybe to the people that we see, and then maybe even to the people we haven't seen and don't know. The choir will sing a line for you, and then I'll invite you to sing that line back to me. May I be filled with loving kindness. Try that. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. Your turn. May I be well. May I be peaceful and at peace. Together. May I be peaceful and at ease. And may I be happy. Everyone. And may I be happy. In a moment, we will be singing that all again, and then we will change the word I to you, and then to we, and then finally to all. Between each verse, Daniel will play a brief piano interlude, and I will invite all of us to meditate on what we are singing, what we are saying, and endeavor to feel some of that compassion for ourselves and for others. Let us start with, May I be filled. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I be peaceful and at ease. And may I be happy. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be well. May you be peaceful and at ease. And may you be happy. May we be filled with loving kindness. May we be well. May we be peaceful and at ease. And may we be happy. May all be filled with loving kindness. May all be well. May all be peaceful and at ease. And may all be happy.
We are going to perform an excerpt from Hazel's book, which she's recently written, which is called Enthusiastically Me. This reading is a dialogue between the person that Hazel used to be, who's me, who is only ever referred to as he or him in the book. Now, Hazel's story starts and then circles back to the same bench in Antioch Park. The opening moment of the book was a low point in Hazel's life before she was Hazel, sitting on that bench, when there was much hopelessness, shame, and fear. During this reading, we find ourselves 1 year later on the same bench, him speaking with who Hazel was in that moment of her transformation.
So, one piece that. Thank you. So, in this moment, a few months ahead of it, a friend of mine asked if I thought I was trans, and so he is contemplating that question for months.
Maybe I should ask her about being trans. So, how did you know?
How did I know what?
Oh no, this is the worst possible outcome. Sorry, like who you are, Hazel. How did you know?
How I knew I was trans?
Yes.
That's a great question. Something didn't feel right for most of my life, but I chose to ignore it, trying to make the best of whatever situation was in front of me. But in recent years, the chaos of my life diminished, allowing me time to reflect. Then I began to feel a pull towards something new, as if something inside implored me to keep going towards the possibility of a better life. Still, I wasn't convinced until I started searching for a name. It was hypothetical, like what would my name be if I started to go by a different name? Once I found it, I never looked back. I finally let my authentic self be free. How did I know? Transitioning chose me. Hazel chose me. All I knew was each step felt right until I reached the end, when I finally discovered what happiness really is. It's a dream come true.
I just don't know. I want to see myself in her story, but I recognize the impossibility.
All right. Well, first of all, I wanted to say thank you to Reverend Rose. I've been able to get to know her over the last few weeks, and it's been such a delight. And also, thank you for the dramatic debut of my book. This is the first time it's been performed, and thank you all for being here and being a part of it. And a special thank you to 2 individuals who made it possible for me to be here. Thank you all so very much. I am Hazel Krebs. I know we've talked about that a few times, but first of all, whenever I'm in front of a microphone, I always make sure to mention it. And also, I love my name so very much. Beyond my name, Hazel, I am also an author, a speaker, a mom, a co-parent to, my kids are amazing, co-parent is amazing. I advocate on a number of issues, queer and beyond being queer. I'm an Aquarius. I'm a Leo rising, Scorpio moon. I didn't know what those meant until I looked them up, but they're perfect. It's amazing. I'm also very extroverted, Enneagram 2, ENFJ, and also blissfully single. These are all transitions that occurred. Most of these happened after I transitioned my gender and myself to Hazel, which is what most people see. The transition of my gender, so what that means is that when I was born, the body that they saw, they assigned male. And when they assigned my body as male, they assigned a bunch of expectations from society, my family, and even myself. And those expectations, I couldn't live up to them because they weren't for me. And what we saw here was that those expectations led me to be in a spot where I thought it was impossible to be happy. And as Reverend Rose mentioned, the start of my book is very sad, and I won't go through a lot of it because it's very, very sad. But the lead up in the chapters 1 through 3 are how he gets to that spot where it's impossible. The first chapter is actually the lowest point, and we've referenced it here. And I didn't tell that story for nearly 2.5 years. It occurred in March 2018. I didn't tell a single person until August 2020, and it was a secret that I was keeping. But then when I decided to write a book, I knew that was going to be the first chapter because I wanted to show everybody where I started, because everyone sees me now as who I am, but I didn't start here, and I think anybody, wherever you are, can have the life that you want, no matter where you're starting from. So the part that we read, the part that we started here was the start of a dialogue. It's part 2. It's where he and Hazel have a conversation for several years. And actually, here's an admission that I didn't start off my book with this. So I wrote part of my book, gave it to some people to read, and they didn't like it. So I actually went back to the drawing board and started thinking about how I was going to tell my story. And I went back to some of the journals that I had at that time as Hazel, reading about words I wrote years before, and I noticed something. I noticed a disconnect between who I was and who I was when I wrote that. Even though I remembered most of the words, I still felt this disconnect. And I started to think about that and say, oh my gosh, there was something there all along, and I can see it as Hazel, as moving past it, I can see the story, and I started to explore that. And then I created the conversation between he and Hazel. So the middle part of my book is what happened through my life through those few years, and he's experiencing it, and he's talking to Hazel about it. And the self-dialogue is something that I just think is so important, particularly when you think about two different places in your life. He is afraid, and she is not afraid. He recognizes the impossibility of happiness. She recognizes and adores who she is and is so happy for it. So the story from this point moves on. I'll highlight about 150 to 200 pages here very quickly. So after this conversation they had, he actually went into detox to get sober. The problems that I was dealing with were so bad that I had to seek help. A few weeks later, I was fired from a job. I reverted to pursuit of love that I didn't match me, and I broke someone's heart. A year later, I found love, thought I had the love of my life, where I wanted to spend the rest of my life, but my heart was broken. And then after my heart was broken, I relapsed. I also had many other self-destructive behaviors that I will tease. You have to read in the book. And it was a really bad time. But yet, like Hazel said earlier, the chaos of my life started to diminish, and I started to explore who I was, and then I found my name. So my name story is in the book. It's one of my favorite stories, but I am not going to go through it now because another favorite story is a part that I'm going to kind of explain next. So this was the first conversation that he and Hazel had. A few years later, they're having the final conversation. He's ready to move on and become himself, or Hazel, as me, and they're having a conversation ahead of a shopping trip. I have the idea of where this is. I wrote it, but he and Hazel are having this conversation. He's found his name, we found her name, and they're having this conversation. And I'll kind of just highlight some of the important parts. So Hazel's saying to him, I feel so differently from the person I was before, who was awkward, unnatural, constantly thinking about anything and everything. That person before was unable to exist in a real way. Remember, she's talking to that person. He starts to get it. He's flabbergasted, thinking she's talking about him, not to him. In the reality, she's talking about him to him. She loves herself, and he starts to realize that he's never felt that way. After a bit, he admits that he's scared. He's afraid, in a way he's never been afraid before. Hazel asks, what are you scared of? And this is my favorite part of the book. And if you've ever wondered, what is it like to decide to transition, this is my best explanation for that. So he's talking. He says, I don't know what I'm afraid of. He looks at Hazel. Okay, that's not true. I do know. It's my next steps. I am worried I am lost. Or more precisely, I am worried I am not lost, and the answer is literally in front of me, motioning to Hazel. So then he starts thinking about it. Speaking from his heart is relatively easy with Hazel, although this feels novel, as the magnitude of everything resides within these comments. his possible transition, his name, his entire life flexing into an abyss that is too dark to possibly imagine what is down there, other than what he sees in her. I get emotional even when I've read this so many times, but I get emotional because it's her. She's the light. Most critically, the light she's been, Hazel. He knew he opened the possibility of searching with her, and more than anything else, he didn't want to stop. Hazel reassures him. He finally believes he can be happy, which is the end of one transition and the start of the other transition, which is the transition of my gender transition. So my book is about a transition from impossible to be happy to the possibility of happiness, which then starts the next transition, which is what I call this darkness of an abyss that is Hazel is the only light. And I love this comparison because when I was deciding that I was going to move forward in a transition, I didn't know what my life was going to be like other than who I am. The transitions that I mentioned before, that started to fill in the rest of my life, and I started to pursue those after I figured out who I was. This is why I'm so adamant, this transitions and transitions. This is why I'm so adamant that everyone has a transition in them, because I started with just one and then filled out the rest of them. So my transitions that I had, I understand most people are not going to transition their gender, but I believe everyone has transitions in them. I'm encouraging everyone to ask yourself, what transitions are you going for? Remember, my gender transition started my author, my speaker, mom, all these things that I had, and everyone has a transition in them. So think about what transitions are in front of you, and I know we want to default to the big transitions, career, relationships that we're going to start or end or anything, but really, there's transitions in front of us today, later on. Even the big transitions start with a small transition. Think about the transitions in your life and where you want to be, and talk yourself through them, understanding that big or small, today is the perfect day to think about your next transition. As you're transitioning, free yourself from the expectations of others. I had lived a miserable life because I was living and beholding myself to the expectations of others instead of myself. I eventually broke free. Oops. I got the wrong thing. I eventually broke free of the expectations of others. And I named myself, and not just how, and I just, free yourself from the expectations from others. I freed myself, and I've never been happier. I named myself Hazel, and I've never been happier. It's not just how the world refers to you as a name, but how the world sees you. Your next transition, call it what it is. So the first day I called myself a writer was a day I took off work from this other job that I have, and it was so important to call myself a writer, even though I hadn't written a single word yet, because I wanted the world to see me as a writer. Hazel is a writer. Hazel is a speaker. Call yourself that transition, who you are, name yourself. Even if you're not changing your name yourself and what the transition is that you want. Don't be afraid to say goodbye to old versions of yourself. You are allowed to grieve. You are allowed to be sad about parts of you that are going away. During the conversation between he and Hazel, he goes through the experiences in real time. And one thing that I really enjoy about my book is that Hazel talks about those experiences as they happened in the past. He's sad about the experiences, but Hazel, if you hadn't tell, I'm very bright and very positive, but she talks about the lessons she learned from those experiences. We have the power to turn anything into a positive if we take a lesson from it. So I encourage you that no matter what happens, learn from it. No matter how sad or tragic or anything, if we learn a lesson, it becomes a valuable experience. All of my things that are sad about my life, I am thankful for because I am here right now through it, talking to you, and I'm so grateful for it. Another thing, mistakes can happen. Give yourself permission to move on. Like I said, Hazel's reassuring him throughout, And he's thinking he's making mistakes, but Hazel knows these mistakes are the way to a better life, and you can do it. Mistakes can happen, move on, and most importantly, listen to yourself. Most importantly, listen to yourself. I mentioned the names, and call yourself, listen to yourself. Later on today, you're going to be in a situation where you're like, what should I do? Listen to yourself. Take a moment. I love this meditation because I was thinking about what I want to do with my day, with my time, and just relaxing. Listen to yourself and move on with that. And then lastly, the best life, I just want everyone to know your best life is waiting for you. You are, your best life is waiting for you. Let yourself be you. You are amazing who you are. Find yourself, and you know that your best life, no matter where you are, again, the beginning of my book is a very sad, dark place. I went from there to here, and I'm so very happy for it. My biggest hurdle was myself, and I feel like that's often the case. Let yourself be you. Let yourself be enthusiastically you, and be who you are today and who you are in the future. Be enthusiastic about it. Thank you all so much.
The work of the church depends on us. Please give generously, as the offering will now be given and received in grateful appreciation of our shared values.
Outside Voices is dedicated to social justice and using our voices to make this world a better place. One of the songs that we've embraced comes from the racial struggle for equality in the 1960s and the Freedom Singers called Ain't Gonna Let Nobody Turn Me Around. And so we invite you to join us in singing this song today. It's become part of who we are and basically part of our mission. I'll be changing the words, and the choir will help you sing along if you wish.
Ain't gonna let nobody turn me round, turn me round, turn me round. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me round. I'm gonna keep on a walking, keep on a talking, marching
we extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. And now I invite you to rise as you are willing and able for our closing hymn, Let It Be a Dance, and you might as well dance. This week, as so many trans and LGBTQ folks are under threat by our government and by our neighbors, I invite you to love your trans people, love your LGBTQ people, and remember, if someone comes out to you, the first thing you say is, "I'm so proud of you." Go in peace.